good afternoon, and welcome to Have a Chat. Today's show is going to be one of very important topics that we're going to be talking about today, so you're not going to want to miss this show. Joining me, as usual, are my beautiful and gorgeous co-hosts, Veronique Arsenault and Judy Loge. Hello, ladies.
We have to pay her again. I think one of the prepaid is running out.
I have some bills coming up, so I thought I'd throw that out there. Exactly.
Welcome to Audrey. Thanks for that.
Welcome back. You were away on a little trip.
I took a weekend, went away to visit my sister Jennifer in Toronto.
Yes.
And I had a quality visit with her from last week until I got back on Friday night and went to see the concert Pink. Yeah, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah, she puts on quite the show, I hear.
She's a performer and she's an athlete, and she's a very, what can I say, she possesses a human kindness and like a fight for rights and equality amongst people, and she can move and sing.
She just seems so strong.
She is strong.
Like she seems like such a powerful woman.
Inside and outside.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it.
It was a ball.
We have a great show lined up today and a couple of great guests, but first we're going to start off our show like we always do with it, which is a positive quote. And I believe, Judy, you're up this time around.
It's a quote that one will tend to think about, more so than maybe uplifting somebody as we normally do.
Something a little deeper.
A little deeper and short and sweet. Depression is a flaw in chemistry, not character.
It is. I think it's a huge chemistry issue for sure.
Well, we never think of it as an illness like everything else that, you know, like if we, and I've talked about this often, but if I came and I said I have cancer, everyone would rally around me, and they should. But if I came and said I was diagnosed with depression or bipolar or schizophrenia, everybody kind of
they almost run.
Well, I think when you hear the word depression, people are like, oh, they're just sad.
Yeah.
She's just sad, or he's just sad. Just get over it. Dust yourself off. Get back on the horse.
No, it's
kind of
way
thing.
beyond that.
But yeah, depression is a whole other level. Yeah. I believe.
Yeah, and we're so lucky to have somebody here to talk on the subject.
That's right, exactly. We have Dr. Sanjay joining us today, who is here to talk to us about that very subject, along with a couple of other things. We're going to talk about mental health, and we're also going to talk about the methadone issue in the clinic that we have here in Miramichi. Welcome, Dr. Sanjay.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to sit down with the legends on the river.
Nice you can make time for the schedule.
We want to get that. Yeah, exactly.
No, it's wonderful you could be here.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
People may not know Dr. Sanjay. Actually,
so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a practicing psychiatrist here for the last 22 years.
Okay.
I love my job. I love my city.
Good.
I love my people here. It's home, and never in my life I lived so long at a single place. So in my, I'll not tell you my age.
We don't either.
Yeah, but never in my life I lived for more than 20 years in a place, and it's good to be settled here. I love it. Every moment of it. I have a wonderful clinical team. I have a wonderful set of friends, good community. Thank you very much.
Life is good. But you also get a very, you know, your reputation is stellar in this community for the work that you've done. People really respect you and certainly have benefited from various forms of your treatment. But today, the subject of methadone is one that we maybe could start off on, because actually, doctor, people really sometimes do not know what methadone actually is.
No,
Right.
You're very right.
And perhaps we should start talking about opioids in general, because that's where the role of methadone comes.
Right.
Methadone is an opioid. But opium has been known to the mankind for several thousand years. And opium has a very specific property which none of other chemicals would have, or opium comes from a plant. The specific quality is that it relieves our pain. It relieves our pain in such a way that we feel normal or even beyond normal at times. So it takes away, opium takes away our abnormal pain, if you like. If we had a misfortune of having an accident or a fall, so that pain is taken away, but normal aches and pains. So for example, right now, I can tell you I have a bit of a headache and I have a sore ankle because of overstepping.
Yes.
That pain would be gone by these opioids.
Right.
So that's why it's very tempting to have them. Now, from the ancient times, it was opium from the plant, but then we got morphine and we got newer sorts of opioids, which are not, so to say, which do not come from the nature. It come from not from the plants, but they come from, or they're manufactured in a lab.
Man-made synthetic.
Man-made synthetic opioids. And these are even more powerful than the ones we ever knew of, as in morphine or good old opioids. So they, as I said, take away our normal pain and abnormal pain, so that the pain comes back with the vehemence when we stop it.
Okay,
So-
worse than ever.
So the pain comes back and more intense.
Does it make it more intense, or it's so gone
Appears.
that
It's so gone that
Okay.
you would never even know what does
Right.
it feel like to be in the pain again.
right? So then when it does come back, it's like it's
Tenfold.
Yeah.
It's tenfold. And that's the problem with hydromorphone or oxycodone.
Yep.
The ones which we, Oxycontin or Percocet. or
Dilaudid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the two basic ingredients in them, hydromorphone and oxycodone.
Which all these drugs have a place in the medical field that are necessary to use for all kinds of different situations with surgery and different things like that, correct?
Absolutely. So
Right.
if somebody comes in an emergency room in an accident, these are the medicines which will put them in ease and without the pain. But when they are used over and over again, over a period of time, then they would last for 6 hours, and then the amount prescribed would not be enough
Right.
to hold the pain back.
Okay.
And the pain comes back with vehemence, so that not only the pain, the other withdrawal symptoms would come.
So these are side effects of these.
Yeah,
And-
or the withdrawal.
Or
of
withdrawal.
So then one leads to go back again and again to these opioid, synthetic prescribed opioids.
Right.
So that's why, rather than, as we can at times say that these quote unquote addicts are bad people who are after something, if you go into the history, they were usually prescribed these medications to begin with.
Yes.
And that had gone out of hand.
Right.
So then, you know, the way for them to get back these medicines, if you like, would not to go back to their physicians, because physicians would suspect something wrong is going on.
Yeah.
But then I would go to the next door neighbor, or I would find a
street.
great aunt, or
Yeah.
somebody, can I take those medicines
Right.
from them?
Right.
And that's how the black market starts.
Right.
So 4 hours or 6 hours after that, I would like a fix for that. And that goes in the cycle. And over a period of time, if 2 pills were doing me good, maybe 4 would not do the same thing, or 6 would not do the same thing. That's called the tolerance of
because
that.
they're so powerful.
They are so powerful, and over a period of time, you become tolerant to
Right.
it.
Right.
So, Dr. Sanjay, for a person that's in the hospital with cancer, you would be managing that patient for intractable chronic pain,
That's right.
and they would be administered the right dose and keep them happy, as in the hospital, for example, if they
Right.
were palliative,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And as you said, they have that. There is a place in prescribed treatment for that type of medication.
Indeed, with some restrictions and whatnot. And it behoves on our community, medical community, or generally the health community, to be aware of this, that there could be a possibility of addictions. In fact, in the United States, not to give any hint to our law friends here, the government has been thinking of suing the companies who have legally manufactured Dilaudid and hydromorphone,
Right.
You know, because they did not pass on the warnings to the general public.
Appropriately.
Because they're highly addictive.
They are highly addictive, and that has become an epidemic, opioid
Right.
epidemic as it's called, because it's not the heroin or the morphine
No.
which are being used. In my practice, in my methadone clinic, if I may, from 2009 onwards, I barely saw 1 out of 600 people who have ever who has ever used heroin.
That was big in the 60s, right? And that,
Absolutely.
at that point, historically, they were using that methadone as a treatment for such things as heroin in the 60s.
That's right. So methadone is a very interesting, if you want, I can go into the
Yeah,
methadone
definitely.
now. So methadone is nothing magical about it, but they say it's so uniformly, it has been present in our lives or in the lives of the people, prescribers for the last 70 years or so, from the Second World War onwards. But because of that discomfort from the society in general and more specifically with the physicians at times, that is methadone a dirty, bad thing, you know. We often hear, are we replacing one addiction with the other?
Well, that's the
That's
perception.
usually what the
That's the thing. The issue is that if I'm on hydromorphone or oxycodone, meaning OxyContin or Dilaudid, I would need to have those agents every 4 to 6 hours if I am addicted to them. With methadone, it lasts for 24 to 48 hours. So I can have my drink, if you like, in the pharmacy, and I can go about at my work. I can be a
Right.
productive member of the society. I don't have to look for that 6-hour peak, you know.
So that's the difference. The biggest
That's the-
difference is the length of time that you can go without it.
That's right. That's
Okay.
one. The second thing is with hydromorphone or with oxycodone, you get a peak suddenly, you know. So if I inject it, as many people do, I would get a peak, and I get a kind of a euphoria or feeling of
Invincible.
well-being, and that is not the case with methadone, because the
Okay.
way you drink it, it may peak in next 8 to 10 hours, maybe even
Okay.
later. So there is no buzz to it, you know.
Oh, okay.
So
it's
one
just an even keel.
it's an even keel for 48 hours. Now,
Okay.
there are issues with methadone too. It has to be prescribed really cautiously. So the pharmacists and hopefully the methadone prescribers are really careful about prescribing those. And then, you know, if given to someone who has no opioid problems, that can be dangerous too. So it has to be prescribed somewhat carefully, and there are alternatives to methadone too now, you know. So there is an agent called Suboxone.
Suboxone.
Yeah,
Now, what's
and
that?
Suboxone is an orally available agent. It contains buprenorphine, which is like methadone, and it has a substance added just as a safety catch, if you like, naloxone. So that is given under the tongue, and if I have used street opioids lately, I would get a bad withdrawal if I get this pill, because naloxone would remove all the opioids from the receptors or from the brain, so that I get a bad withdrawal. So that at times is a useful alternative to those who would not like to go the methadone route. You
And
know.
also, when you're talking about all this, I think of people that are not just taking one drug, but several drugs, and maybe some psychiatric prescribed drugs. So, isn't there the risk of cardiac arrest? Is that when you would turn to Suboxone?
That methadone is considered to be a little harsher or stronger than the proverbial grandmother or grandfather of Suboxone.
Okay.
Suboxone is a little milder.
Can you come off methadone?
Okay, so coming off would
Like,
be
is it forever?
no, and that brings us back to the opioid addiction. Opioid
Right.
addiction or opioid use disorder, as it's called now, is one of the most compelling addiction. Imagine yourself being hungry for 2 days or 3 days. Would I not grab the next slice of pizza which I see?
Yes.
Or would I not grab something, you know? So that's the
No
starvation.
matter how little it
How-
was, you'd want it.
Right. So the thing is that I go for it anyway, you know. I'll grab for it. I'll want to do
Desperate.
it. Desperate for it. I'll go steal, lie,
Yeah.
do
Yes.
whatever to get it. So these people need treatment, they don't need condemnation from the community.
Right. What you're saying in a nutshell is that you're trying to reduce their huge cravings.
Right.
And that's what methadone does.
That's exactly. So 48 hours, you're good. So just to answer your question, Veronique, it's never forever.
Right.
Yeah. At the same time, there is always the risk that I may go back to my opioid addiction because my receptors or the nerve endings in the brain have got primed to the opioid substances that I used.
Yes.
So that a reminder can easily be sent, and I'm in a company or I'm with a friend who has used it before. So I'm primed for that. Oh, nothing wrong with trying that. And yes, my brain says, yes, take it. So there could be a cycle. Over a period of time, we have seen that many people try to get off it and are successful. Others are not.
Not
you
so
know,
much.
yeah.
But with any drug addiction or alcohol, it's a matter of physical chemistry rather than someone just being weak.
That's right. And more so with the opioids. So what makes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to jump in just because in the beginning, just taking it a little bit back to when someone might be introduced to something like those kind of drugs. Now, I recently had a surgery. I went in and went back in, and pain was my number one thing, and that's what the doctor said. I want to make you comfortable. That was her first deal. And not that I remember what she was giving me, but I can just remember that feeling and that sense of just no pain. And I was just like, oh,
All is well.
Yeah.
all is well.
Feels-
But I remember saying, now when that was wearing off and the pain was coming back, I said, is there any way you can give me something that doesn't take my ability to think clear? Because that part of it actually scared me. I didn't like not being clear in my head and knowing what was going on around me. But that's, I think, has more to do with my type A personality than anything else, as being susceptible to, ooh, keep that coming.
Yeah.
You know what I
You're
mean?
afraid
Kind
to
of.
be out of control. You
I
want your mind
was. I
in
really
control.
was.
The
I was
pain
like, can you give me something that can take the edge off without, you know what I mean? Kind of
altering
deal.
your thinking.
But I'm assuming that that's where
That's
things
exactly.
can change.
That's exactly, you know, to feel good is
It
my
was amazing, I'm not
birthright,
gonna
you know,
lie. It was like,
and
oh.
that's the feeling good, which is repeated 1,000 times, you know.
Exactly.
And so I need more and more to feel good
Right.
with the same kind of, to have the same feeling, and I would need more amounts
Well,
of
we're
that.
going to take a short little break, and we're going to come back with more from Dr. Sanjay to tell us a little bit more about mental health and his methadone clinic. Thanks for watching. We'll be back right after the break. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch, and we have been chatting with our first special guest, Dr. Sanjay. We were talking a little bit about the methadone clinic that you have up and running here in Miramichi and all the concerns and the history of opiates and how that's all coming along. Judy had another question for you along that line.
We're going to move along to another subject totally, but the bottom line of the methadone clinic is that it's available for those people who want to reduce their high by using this liquid methadone. And people will say, well, why are they doing this? Why are they lined up for it? Because it helps them function better in society. They can actually get to a level and their withdrawal symptoms will go down and they're manageable to a point where they can actually have a family life.
That's right.
And go on in society.
Yes.
So that's what the bottom end of the solution is.
Oh, you summarized it beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Judy.
Just trying to sum it up because
Yes,
people
for
question.
those, a lot of viewers would be asking.
Sure. So their life gets much better. They would be paying more attention to their family.
Right.
Try to imagine that every 4 hours I have to get a fix.
Yeah.
And even before I get that fix, I have to think about, so what would happen in the next 4 hours?
How am I going to get it?
So that's what the they strive for.
Yes.
And that would be taken away, that discomfort.
And minimizing their cravings
minimize
for
their
that
cravings
ultimate
For
high.
a longer period of time.
Longer period of
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Relatively, it's a safe medication to
Yes.
take.
And
Does it
that's
keep
wonderful.
does it keep their mental state? Because that was,
They do. They do.
It does?
I mean, there has been some suggestion that methadone and methadone-like substances can even help with our depression.
Okay.
You know?
Oh,
And
okay.
that is the area that researchers are exploring now.
But it will not treat other non-opioids like alcohol and marijuana and things like that. It will not curb that at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Just the
a
old.
whole other
okay.
domain. Well, talking a little bit, you just bringing up the word depression, we want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about mental health
Yes.
and where you are with all of that and what you're seeing through your clinic and practice.
Right. So, I mean, 22 years has been a long journey here for me. And my journey is mainly in mental health.
It is. That's right.
I can see a lot of changes to our system. What it was 22 years back and what's it now. So, serious mental illness is often an ignored subject. And by serious mental illness, we usually mean schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and severe
Right.
depression. So these three illnesses are such that people who are suffering would not usually knock at your door if they need help.
That's right.
We have to reach them. So that has been the concept of which everybody, people, the planners have been talking about for years. And as we know, things will not always go through the swift pace that we want to. But the realization has come that rather than asking people to attend my outpatient clinic and sitting there for 2 hours, well, depends, but a half an hour
Could be one of those days.
or waiting for 3 months to get an appointment or do not know
Yes.
which door to knock, why don't we, as an assertive community team, as it's called, go to them.
Embrace.
So I'm very proud to tell you that the Miramichi has the best assertive care team through the mental health in the province.
Well, that's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me proud.
Are you
Right.
seeing a shift in public perception towards mental illness, like from 22 years ago to now?
Yeah.
Do you see more people willing to talk about it, and a more, I guess, less of a stigma than there has traditionally been, or are we not there yet?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're there yet, but are we
Right.
making better strides?
I think we are making better strides, and everything is local for me. So in Miramichi, you guys, maybe not you, Veronique, but sorry, but others would remember that people would be transported to Restigouche or Camilton
Right.
for any serious illnesses that form one, and you go to Restigouche, and we have our own unit here, a 12-bedded unit in the Miramichi General Hospital. So people can be treated locally. As you treat people locally, I think stigma gets better because people would realize that these serious mental illnesses can be managed well. But the part which was missing for years, and the part which I am so proud of, has come back in form of the flexible, assertive community team, that the team members would not wait for people to deteriorate. Any phone calls can trigger a clinician, a nurse, an occupational therapist, a social worker going to their own homes, the people who are suffering with serious illness, and start getting help there. I have started making some home visits too. You know, so that is an eye-opener and quite a learning experience for me.
amazing.
Do you treat, like my mind's just shifting here, do you treat other issues such as agoraphobia? Do you do all the different, do you do everything?
Which is what?
Which is the fear of open space or
spaces.
yes.
Going out.
So you deal with that, and you walk them through the process of how to get past all of that. That's just one huge issue.
It is an issue, and it's a serious issue, but they are held more by, say, counselors or the clinicians at the mental health who can help them better. But for sure, those of us who had seen people suffering with agoraphobia, they definitely need help.
Just wondering.
I was wondering, having 4 children at home and feeling like there's a lot more of this mental health issues with younger teens and being able to cope with stressors and different things in their life. And I'm noticing just as my kids grow up, little things that they say, what I can do as a parent to make sure that, or help them deal with those so that maybe it doesn't turn into something more serious. Like now my youngest one, who was so shy at first, and then she came out of her shell, and now when I take her places, like we went to the gym and she's like, can we go when there's nobody there? I don't like people and I don't like crowds. And I'm like, is this the same child I had? Because she wasn't like that a few years ago. So I'm very cautious of what I say and not pushing it off as nothing in case this is a true thing that she feels inside, and all of a sudden she's going to start withdrawing more and more.
Right. And that's the parental anxiety, which all of our parents, all of us had it, time immemorial. Human race has done well with good parenting, I suppose. So that's a normal parental anxiety. Usually those things would not last, or nothing to be worried about. But if it becomes an issue, you know, if my child stops attending the classes, if my child does not play with other kids, you know, that's something I would be concerned about.
Right, if it escalates.
That's it.
So what would be your #1 form of mental illness that you see?
Yeah.
Like the top one would be, is it depression or is it?
Number-wise, it's depression, but I would have to say, Judy, that people who would need most help would be people suffering with schizophrenia or bipolar illnesses.
Really high.
And what separates them clearly is their lack of insight, or they do not know that they are ill.
There you
And
go.
when you do not know that you are ill, you would not get to the treatment. And it's not a question of just sitting down with them and counsel them that, no, you are ill. And no, I'm not. And you're ill. No, you're not. That would not be a cure. It's so difficult concept to imbibe, you know, that how can a person suffer with an illness and yet you do not know you're ill? But that's what exactly happens with people with schizophrenia and bipolar illness.
right.
Mania, like they're manic at one moment and they're just functioning at this high flighty rate, and then all of a sudden they're low and can't figure out why they're feeling so down.
Right.
It must be terrible to feel
Well,
like that.
Well, often you'll hear people say that, you know, they're on their meds and they're feeling better, so then they come off their meds.
Oh, too often, right?
Right?
Self-diagnose.
Yeah,
stop the
exactly. I'm
meds.
feeling better. I don't need
That's
them,
true.
and then fall in such a low that they don't get back on them themselves. It has to be intervened.
Yeah.
Right.
But Doctor, you and I, we've both worked with the Schizophrenia Society, but you know, I think something that most people don't understand is that there are many people out there that live with schizophrenia and have very productive lives and work, and they have wonderful families, and you know, and
take the positive from it.
like, you know, that it's oftentimes that we see in the media,
Right.
you know, in the movie the bad guy is you know, has schizophrenia or whatever, right? But in actual fact, there are many people who live very wonderful lives.
Very productive life.
yeah.
And I mean, recent incidents which happened, unfortunate incidents which happened in states, where in school shootings or the shooting in Las Vegas, they blamed it on mental health problems, but I'm not sure whether they are pure, if you like, mental health problems, or for me, the illnesses such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, rarely would they result in very bad outcomes as far as killing
if that
others.
was their only issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the most common problem with people with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or severe depression is that they're likely to self-harm themselves the most.
Right.
Okay.
So about 10 to 20% people with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe depression would kill themselves.
Right.
So that's a huge statistics.
It's more
It is.
self-harm
It's
than
Than
public
outward.
harm.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what it is, and they are as good as us. They may be our own friends. They may be our own brothers or sisters.
That's exactly
So
right.
just we have to be in their shoes,
Right.
and that's where our inpatient treatment team and assertive community team have done a lot of work together.
That's amazing.
Well,
And
what
they,
do
we
we-
are the best in the province, I repeat, and I'm
I'm
proud to
proud
repeat
of it too.
Yes, definitely. So what do you suggest our children now to be more aware of their friends, and just like Let's Talk is the big thing that is going across Facebook right now.
I love it.
Let's talk. Just say hello. Ask somebody how they're doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they're so good at hiding it and putting on this
big
brave
smile.
face.
And underneath they're really depressed. That's
And
so
being,
often.
but I know being shy and quiet is definitely a sign. I know I recently spoke to a number of different clients and a teacher, and she said the children who are having their outbursts and visibly showing signs of requiring attention and help are getting it. But she said, really, the quiet ones, we have to check on them too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The more despondent type personality.
Despondent, and the awareness leads to hopefully more wisdom, and more wisdom would need some getting together. So community itself can be a therapeutic milieu where we get the counselors close by, you know, so you do not have to necessarily go to a psychiatrist unless it's a very severe illness, you know.
Well, you've spoken at many international conferences over the years. I mean, you're very well reputed. So maybe we could have you and some other experts come into our schools more often in classrooms and really open this up more.
Absolutely.
And have you, if you have time, to speak at a big forum with young people and any age group actually.
Right.
And keep bringing it home, the whole idea of mental health.
And do you see an increase, Dr. Sanjay, in your practice with youth experiencing more and more anxiety and depression?
Certainly, the parents are certainly more aware of it.
Yeah.
Now,
Are we labeled? I guess are we just more aware that it's happening, or did we always have it and now we're just more aware?
and that's the question, perpetual question, which I cannot answer very clearly. But I think parents are certainly more aware. Usually, in emergencies, we see problems with relationship issues or problems with drug issues. So those are the crises which would happen, and we have to develop some own resources how to, so to say, predict these relationship issues. So, I mean, as a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old going for her or his second date, and that did not go very well, that's an ultimate crisis, and that may lead to problems in some of the. But that's where our own resources should kick in, you know.
Yes.
The resources in the school, resources, dare I say, in the community, rather than the resources which would require serious intervention, you know. So some awareness, as you all were alluding to, should be there and should be placed, you know, to deal with such problems. You know, that there would be few dates that may go wrong, the relationships, it may not work out well, and you have to stand, you know, you have to just bear with them and go ahead in your life. That's a learning experience.
Well, everything's the end of the world when you're 15,
14.
16, 17,
Yes.
or, you know,
Yes.
18.
Yes.
Everything just seems so blown up and out of proportion when you're that age.
But the good news is there is help for everybody.
Absolutely.
And that's the good feeling that we get out of this whole show, is that you're there with your team, with your expertise, and that if I'm having a day where I think, you know, I'm just so distraught and upset and emotional, I might just end my life. What do we do? Do we go to our family doctor who refers to you, or can we go right to a clinic, or how do we get to you?
Mental health clinic has become quite responsive to those needs lately. So they can call 778-6111 for help or for directions. At times I do not even realize if I have, say, an extra insurance which would pay for the private therapist, you know. But mental health clinic would be good first call in kind of a place, you know.
And just to recap really quickly, methadone treatment is paid by the government?
It's 100% paid by the government.
Okay, I just had to get that in.
For those who are with the social development card,
Right,
you know.
right.
And it saves a lot of money, just to be sure that opioid consumption, Dilaudid or oxycodone, in a day would cost anywhere between $80 to $120 if I'm addicted to that. Methadone would cost $8 a day.
There you
So
Wow.
you see one from the other, and without being bothered to go to the to buy those things off the street, you know. I'm much better
That's
off.
a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
So if anyone's struggling at all, just for one number, they can call 778-6111.
That's exactly right.
No, exactly. So we want to thank Dr. Sanjay for joining us today and touching on a very important and serious subject that not just our community, but many communities across the country are dealing with right now. And we want to thank you again for joining us. Maybe, like Judy had said, we'll get you to come back on and have a bigger say with other professionals and touch base on how everything is going and how we can do better as a community.
Wonderful.
With this subject.
Keep up the great work, helping those who need you.
Thank you
Yes.
very much, and thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Yes, and thanks. We'll be back with more Have a Chat after the break. We have Ross Hartland is going to be joining us with some interesting information on the wine tasting gala that's coming up. So don't go away. We'll be back with more Have a Chat after the break. Welcome back to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch. Up next is our second guest. Joining us is Ross Hartland. Hello, Ross. Back again.
Afternoon, ladies.
Nice to see you.
We love having Ross come on because it means that the wine's coming.
And the beer.
And the beer.
And the beer.
And the beer.
And the
yes.
beer.
So
Always a
you're
pleasure to be here.
yeah. So you're a member of the Rotary Club of Chatham, and you're here to talk to us about the wine and beer tasting gala that's coming up. So fill us all in.
Okay, again this year it's at the Rod Miramichi. It's April the 14th.
It's coming up quick.
April the 14th. Okay.
And this year we're having both sessions on Saturday the 14th.
Okay, I read that. I was wondering, instead of 2 separate nights like you did last year, right? So
Right.
2 sessions, but on the same day.
2
okay.
to 4 and 7 to 9.
2 to
Nice.
4 and
There's
7
a
to
couple
9.
reasons that we're doing that.
Okay, so how did
No-
that all come about?
Number one, it's to save money on the total cost of the gala so that we can give more to the registered charity
Oh,
fund-wise.
Okay.
And the second reason is to give the vendors a break. And it doesn't take up their whole weekend
Good.
like it did before.
Right.
True. I hadn't even thought
So-
about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
It's a lot of
year, the charitable foundation that we're donating the net funds to is the Josie Foundation.
Wonderful,
nice.
wonderful.
And we've had
A
Jake
well-known-
Stewart on the show to talk about the
Yep.
Josie Foundation.
Okay, so
Well-known organization here in
Yeah.
Miramichi.
Well, I'm really pleased about that because if people don't know what the Josie Foundation is, it's a foundation that Jake Stewart founded and to honor is the name of his grandmother that he started all with his grandmother Josie. And the money raised towards this and what the Rotary Club's giving back is to help those with chronic illnesses,
Right.
life-threatening illnesses, and if they need medical expenses paid
Travel.
or they're off work and need their groceries for a while or gas paid to go to chemotherapy out of town if they need to be. It's a very valuable foundation,
It is.
so I'm really proud that it's going there.
we're very happy to do it this year for the
Good.
Josie Foundation.
Okay, so it's Saturday, and so the tickets are $50 per session.
Person.
Yes.
$50 each per session, and they're available at the Rod Miramichi or at Town Hill Jewelry.
All right.
Now, let's imagine for a moment that I have never been to the wine and beer gala.
Imagine for a minute that
Just
she's
for a
lying.
minute.
No, just pretend, just ignore her. She's lying.
Let's pretend for a moment that I've never been there. Yeah. Or that I've never.
Okay, let's pretend.
So, walk me through it. What do I do when I get there?
Well, if it was my first visit, the first thing I do would be go to the Rotary Club of Chatham's website or the Chamber of Commerce, or 99.3 The River, or even the Rod's Facebook page, and there's a program. We do a program up each year, and all of the booths, and there's going to be 11 booths this year at this point in time, and all of the listings that each vendor has are there.
Okay.
So you can go through from booth 1 to booth all the way through the program and decide your plan of attack.
Right. And that's what it is, because when you go in there, you want to enjoy this puppy.
Well, I find there's two different kinds of people that go to an event like this. Those who are wine connoisseurs who know, and they would read the brochure, and they would want to know who's going to be there, and they would, like you said, plan exactly which ones they're going to stop at first. And then there's somebody like me who I don't know wines and what the difference is, and I'm a little more skeptical or worried that I'm going to not look like I'm a wine connoisseur and like look a little silly going around and
But it's
trying
social,
them all.
it's a social
It's a
aspect
social
as
thing?
well. I mean, you get to have the opportunity to taste fine beers and wine from all over the world.
Right.
But it's also
Because it's a lot to learn.
But if you don't like wine, you can still attend and support this whole Rotary endeavor.
This is
and
true.
going to the Josie Foundation and see
Right.
your friends and maybe just have a little sip of something. But
It's and that's so I'm walking in now. I've got my brochure. Right?
she's in now.
I'm in now.
She's in.
I've got my brochure.
Can't get rid of her.
Right.
Okay, and so what does it look like in there?
It's an open room. If anybody that hasn't been to the banquet room in the Rod, and the vendors are set up all around the room,
The perimeter.
all along the outside.
all along the
inside,
outside of the
okay.
room. There is a table that the Rod puts on of breads and cheeses,
It's nice.
Always good.
Yes.
and each vendor has a number which we would put above their table, and it corresponds with the listing in the program.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity, really, like to try different wines and beers, and because I mean we all have a favorite wine for sure, but I mean
Yes.
this is an opportunity to really to go around, because when you buy your ticket, your $50 ticket, you have access to everything that's in that room.
Everything.
Right.
But
Yeah.
see, I don't have a favorite wine.
No.
I like them all. No.
Okay.
Let me just say, and
You
you
guys should
know,
both
I
go.
don't
Yeah.
drink a lot at all, but
No,
if
me
I go
neither.
to a fine dinner, I want a really fine wine. So this will give me an opportunity to try and say, oh, this is better than the
is
last one I
beautiful,
tried,
yeah.
or this is
Yeah.
one I want to be sure to buy for my next
Yes,
dinner party,
yes.
or take as a hostess gift or something.
Right. Exactly.
And there are premium wines, right, Ross?
Yes, again this year. Because of the timing of my visit here this year, I know the listings. So to give everyone out there an idea, there's going to be 55 wines,
Ooh.
19 different beers, 17 different coolers,
Cool.
Wow.
and there's also going to be a couple of ryes, a bourbon, and a couple of vodkas.
So how many
All
types of
local?
beers? 11
Yeah.
beers. 11 types of beers?
19 different
19.
types.
19 beers. Now, are any of those local craft beers?
Yes.
Okay.
There's going to be 2 craft distributors there this year.
And that's such a big thing. Like craft beer is such a big thing now.
It
like
is.
in Atlantic
It
Canada,
is.
but in the province, and we've got some great breweries
Oh,
in the
excellent,
province.
yes.
And but you have vendors coming from like Nova Scotia and
Some of the vendors that we have are maritime extensions of national
okay,
brands. So,
that's exciting.
yeah.
And repeat vendors. I like
Oh,
to see
yeah.
the same faces. Some people I actually knew in my past have come.
Yeah.
It's nice to catch up and see what they're
Yes.
doing with their
And
business.
we have several new ones this year. So
Oh,
it's going to be really exciting.
So Ross, where can you get tickets?
You can get tickets at the Rod's desk and also at Town Hill Jewelry on the Newcastle side of the river.
Now, are they only selling so many for each venue?
250,
For each one?
yes.
Okay.
It's a wonderful
Yeah.
experience. I encourage
No. I'm
anyone
Pretty
that
sure they've
hasn't
sold
gone.
out before. That's why I say
multiple
that.
times. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Saturday afternoon, to encourage people to attend the afternoon session, the Rod is offering 2-for-1 appetizers at the 1806. So for each couple, they will be given a slip for 2-for-1 appetizers at the Raw Dining Room.
And is there some other perk about a weekend getaway?
Both sessions. Again, the ROD is donating weekend getaways to any ROD resort.
And they have some lovely resorts.
I know
They
Yes.
do. They really do.
I
So
love
that's for
staying there.
purchasing a ticket, right? Your name goes in the draw for
Your name
that.
goes in the draw
For
for that.
one for the afternoon one, so you're not going to want to miss your chance to get in on that draw alone, right?
And for people that know, the Rotary Club is in conjunction with the ROD, but
Yes.
we're hosting this with them, and you know.
As far as I know, and my memory's not too good anymore, the ROD has done this for 10 years.
Okay.
And the Rotary Club and the ROD have partnered now for 8 years.
Okay.
So
Well,
That's
we
a
want to
lot
show
of
the
money.
brochure because it's
Oh, yeah.
absolutely lovely. It's stunning. So who is it that designs this? Is it the
Newcastle
Rotary
Printing
Club?
does.
Yeah,
Newcastle
They
Printing
do
does
the
all-
designing for you?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolutely stunning. Very,
is.
very eye-catching. and-
Detailed.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more about the Rotary Club of Chatham and their involvement and everything that goes into putting this together. Is it just you? It's not just you, is it, Ross?
Oh, no, I have a small but effective committee that,
Small but effective. I like
Yes.
that.
They're fabulous.
He's the chair, by the way, and has been the chair for several
Oh, nice.
of these
all,
now.
all 8 of them,
All
actually.
8.
Yeah,
Kudos to you, Ross. It's a
But-
big undertaking.
It is. You start
Like
right
to-
away,
yeah. Yeah, it's,
right? As
it's
soon as this
almost,
one's over, are you going to start planning
What-
for the next one?
as soon as we get the numbers and everything in on this one, we sit down and decide what changes we're going to make. So it happens probably, we start in July and then
Wow.
go from there.
Now, there's been thousands of dollars raised for community initiatives through this.
Over
event.
100,000,
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
proud of
Right
you
back
all.
into the community.
right back into the
Because this
community.
one in particular, you change it every year to where the money is going to
Yeah.
go, right?
Yes, we do.
And the
Which
Rotary
is
Club
fair.
of Chatham's done many different,
Oh, yes.
supported many different causes. Can you name just a few of them off the top of your head?
3 that I can think of right off the top would be, well, this year it's the Josie Foundation. We've also done the Hospital Foundation. We've also done Mount St. Joseph Foundation,
And didn't
along
we do
with the
SPCA?
SPCA.
Yeah, the SPCA one year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're so grateful. Like these
Oh, yeah.
people
and
are so thankful.
there's also a Miramachi group that's set up that was a bunch of charities. There was
Change Miramachi.
Change
Yes,
Miramachi.
6
Yeah.
involved.
We
Oh,
also
right.
donated 1 year to Change Miramachi.
Yeah.
Each one got a piece
Each
of
one of
the,
them-
the
Of that
money that
pie.
came in.
I can tell you exactly
Yeah.
what. Each one of them got $3,000.
Yeah, I remember.
They were so
Nice.
elated too. I mean, $3,000 to
Wow.
go towards your organization is a huge amount.
It is. It
You
is.
know, you don't think
Yeah.
it was gigantic, but it does go a long way when you're
Yeah.
fighting for, you know,
So
trying
that
to.
was 1 year
Definitely
that was
does.
$18,000 distributed.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
that's just it.
So tickets are on sale until they sell out. So we want to make sure that people know that,
Yes.
and that the funds this year are going to the Josie Foundation.
That's right. So it's April 14th. To our viewers, if you didn't catch it, it's not on 2 different nights this year. They're doing it on the one day, April 14th, from 2 to 4, and then 7 to 9. The prizes that they're giving away, there's little giveaways as well. There's a trip, a weekend getaway to the Rod Hotels.
Anywhere,
Any
any
Rod.
Any
Any
one
Rod
of the
hotel-
Rod
hotel.
hotels. So they're giving away one weekend for 2 at one session from 2 to 4, and then another one from the 7 to 9. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think
No.
we should probably talk about the fact that you can go and enjoy yourself and taste the wines, but you're also able to be delivered home safely by
Yes,
transit.
that's
The bus will
Oh,
be
Yes.
running.
yes, definitely.
Miramachi Transit will be there
Okay.
for both sessions as well, yeah.
So as soon as you get out of there at 4
And the
or
ROD
9.
is providing live entertainment in the restaurant after the evening session as well.
What are you
Oh,
singing?
after.
What are you doing?
No, it's you, Judy.
I'll be a little too tired to
But
sing.
I think that's important to note that for the last number of years, and I don't know if it's been for all 8 years, Ross, but the Rotary Club of Chatham has provided that transportation through
Oh,
the
yeah.
city.
Yeah,
Makes me feel good.
very important. Nobody should be drinking and driving.
No.
Right.
They can't get a cab, that's
Exactly.
always available.
What I like as well during a session like this, because I am not the wine connoisseur or the beer, I find the vendors themselves that I notice when they go, they're full of information.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? They can let you know, depending on what it is you're having for dinner, which Judy likes to have.
How to pair.
How to pair wines together.
Yes.
Whereas, and I'm like, what do you mean pair? Like a pair of mittens? Like, I wouldn't be absolutely sure what they were talking about.
Chances are on the booths that will have wine, that at least one of the people on that booth is a sommelier.
I love it.
So
Oh, okay.
they know their stuff.
When you
Very
want a
well.
nice white, you know, like if you
Yeah.
want fish, what goes with that? It's nice to know that.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to miss it this year.
Oh, you
You'll be
are.
away.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
not.
that's
I'm
right.
not here that weekend. So.
No, well, we'll have to drink for you.
Yes.
We could do that.
Yes.
We could test.
See, I knew
test
that they'd have
them.
my back, Ross.
Right?
Not a problem.
Tell you, and the other thing too is that you get to fill out and vote. Correct? Is there? Well, there was last year, wasn't there? You could.
But you get to write down like notes. So if you learn
Okay.
something,
There's notes in the program.
In the program,
availability,
okay.
And you can also rate each wine,
Rate,
wine,
that's what it is.
beer, or other
Yeah.
accomplishment.
You know what I love about this whole fest too is that it's all age groups that like legal and over, legal age and
Oh,
over
sure, yeah.
that can attend, and you get everybody from 22 right or 19
do.
right through to 80.
Yeah,
you know,
you do.
and they're enjoying themselves, mingling with the young and the older people, and it's a whole community and outer community group that come together for fun and tasting.
And we want to also say thank you to the Rod because they
I was just going to
decorate
say we should
the food
we should
that
have
they put on with
we should
their.
have kudos to the Rod because
Yeah.
they've been doing this
Definitely.
for a lot of years, and they provide the vendors with accommodations,
Oh, they do.
the meal on the night that they're there, and also breakfast the night more. the
So
next
generous.
morning.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's all that they contribute that, and it's a really classy evening.
It is, and they're wonderful.
It's really nice.
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
and,
And
I,
the hors d'oeuvres will be
Oh,
served
passed
again.
Well,
around.
I think
As
that's
usual.
important to
Yeah.
have that.
now.
Yeah.
Because-
yeah.
Because one little sip of wine at every single table is a
Make
few
you
glasses of
lightheaded.
wine.
Now, also, Tanya's told me that one of the vendors is bringing a maple liqueur,
Maple
Ooh.
liqueur.
and he's
The trees are running.
He's asked the restaurant to provide ice cream.
Well.
So there
Oh.
will
missing
be
out.
maple liqueur and ice cream served at some point in time.
Imagine.
To go with.
Yeah.
We'll have to do New Brunswick maple syrup. Will that be?
With chances
More
are.
likely.
That's a
Yeah.
nice little highlight,
That's
isn't
just,
it?
we'll have to do a live feed from there.
We should. And it's not
don't know
overly.
if that's a
nobody
good
has to go- you just dress nice. You don't have to overdress
No.
or underdress. Just
No.
come really nice and you know, like something that you'd wear to a dinner or something or to a little party. It's not you don't have to go out and
no.
buy something for this event if you're worried about what you're going
That's
to look
what's
like.
great about this is that, you know, because it's locals that are going to be going. It's Miramichiers all
Yep.
across, you know, our little region are going to be there.
Just
and
clean up nice.
have a
Show
good
up.
time.
Support the Rotary Club of Chatham and the Josie
Definitely.
Foundation and the Rod.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. Are you going to try to go?
No, I am. I definitely am. I'm going to have to check my calendar now to see what I have on there,
Yeah.
which one I can actually get to. I like the idea of the afternoon one. I really do. You know, and get my
I
name in
encourage
for the draw.
everybody. It's kind of a situation of you've got to use it or you're going to lose it.
That's
right.
We have to
Exactly.
support this people that are listening. Come on
No.
out and enjoy that day.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ross, for joining us and filling us all in on this great event that's coming up that the Rotary Club of Chatham is putting on with the support of the Rod Hotel Miramichi. We want to thank you again for joining us.
My
and
pleasure, ladies. As
See you on the
always.
14th.
Yes, and thank you for watching us here at Have a Chat. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.